Om 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम सदा शिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमां अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वंदे गुरु परंपरां। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। Hari Om. So, in this 41st day of Vedanta Shravana Sadhana Yagna, we are looking into Vivekachoodamani, and from today onwards, from verse 354, Samadhi. What is Samadhi? There is absorption of mind. Until yesterday, we have discovered how we need to do three things with our intellect: intelligent discrimination between self and not self, withdrawing from whatever is not self, and abiding in the self. These are the three things to do. Once having learned that, what else is left to be done? Absorption of mind, keeping the mind completely absorbed in the state of samadhi. So the nature of samadhi is being explained here. Ajnana hridaya granthehe nishesha vilayastada samadhina vikalpena yada dvaitatma darshanam. When the Advaita Atma Darshanam, Advaita Atma means that one self which is present everywhere. When I get to see that, when I get to realize that, when do I realize? In that state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where there are no thoughts in my mind, there are no questions in my mind about what it is, how can I achieve it, what are the means, all questions have stopped. And that is a state of realization. Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The Nishesha Vilayastata Ajnana Hridaya Granthehe. What happens? What is the result of that state of realization? Ajnana Hridaya Granthi. The knots in the feeling. I don't know. I have not realized yet. People are talking about it, but I have not yet realized. All those feelings are gone. All those knotted thoughts are gone with this realization. Yada Advaitam Atma Darshanam. Like when we see that non-dual truth, non-dual reality, then the knots of ignorance, of doubts, of anxieties, of worries, everything is dissolved. The next verse, 355. Tvamahamidam itiyam kalpana buddhi doshat prabhavati paramatman advaye nirvisheshe pravilasati samadhavasya sarvo vikalpo vilayanamu pagachet vastu tattvavadhutyam. So what is it that further happens? Tvam, aham, idam, iti, iyam. Tvam, you, aham, I, idam, this, iyam, these, that. These concepts which were all existing in that Supreme Self in our mind, all that is gone. Kalpana, because of the buddhi dosha, because of the ignorance in the intellect, These were the distinctions that we were seeing all this time. Prabhavati Paratmani Advaye Nirvisheshe. This, these are all experience in that self, which is Paratman, the supreme self. Advaya, the self is non-dual. It has got no distinctions. It has not got no differences. But we were experiencing all these different thoughts of I, you, they, them, it, these, those, that, everything. Nirvisheshe, this Brahma Tattva has got no speciality. It is just one. But we see many, many special things. And we distinguish between everything. Then we give importance to some, we reduce importance to some. We have contempt for some. We ignore some. So many things we do because of that, the distinctions. Pravilasati samadhau asya sarvo vikalpo. Pravilasati. Prakarshena vilasati. These concepts are dissolved in samadhi. In that state of samadhi, when the mind is completely absorbed in itself as the mind, all these thought waves merge into that state of samadhi, inward movement of the mind. It becomes like a giant power where all the waves are turned inward and focused inward, one pointed, and everything dissolves in that state. Vilayan Vilayanam upagachet vastu tattva avadhrutya. When the real nature of the Brahman is realized or grasped in that state of samadhi. Samadhi is like you're seeing an ocean with waves. Suddenly, if there's a big hole in between the ocean and all the waters of the ocean go and fill up in that hole, that is that state of samadhi. There is no movement of water after that. Everything is just absorbed inside. It is a very powerful state of the ocean. In the same way, it is a very powerful state of mind, a very powerful state of knowing, where everything gets absorbed in that divine light, that divine energy, which is there in the space in the heart. The mind was all this time looking out through the senses, going here and there, frittering away its resources of knowledge. Now all the knowledge is poured into that one divine source and energy in the state of samadhi. Vilayanam upagachet. Everything gets dissolved completely. Tattva advayas tattva avadhrutya. When that non-dual reality or essence is realized. It is not just some imagination, but it is a very physical state of experience. It has happened for so many millions of yogis and jnanis around the world, this kind of an experience. And we study all this with the hope that someday the truth may dawn to us in the form of this experience or in the form of clear knowledge where we know beyond doubt what is that truth. Shantodantah paramuparatah Kshantiyuktas samadhim kurvan nityam kalayati yatihi swasya sarvatma bhavam tena vidyati mirajanitan sadhu dagdva vikalpan brahma kritya nivasati sukham nishkriyo nirvikalpaha. Nishkriyaha nirvikalpaha. Without any action. See, sometimes to give a very common example, every day we will be doing some action or the other, or miscellaneous actions, different actions. Suppose in our house or in the place of work, we all have one thing to focus on, one project, one event, one function, where everybody is engaged in that function. On those days, you will see that all the miscellaneous little actions are left off. We don't even have the time to do that. We don't even feel the need to do small actions that we do, because the whole time we are absorbed in that one big action. In the same way, the whole mind is now completely absorbed in that self, that reality, nirvikalpaha. So what the mind becomes, nishkriyaha. The mind does not have the need or the opportunity or necessity to do any action. Nirvikalpaha. The mind does not entertain small thoughts, small fancies, small desires, small ideas. Everything just get submerged. Brahma akritya nivasati sukham. Such a person, he is absorbed in that supreme form of the Brahman. How much ever we may talk about it, how much ever we may think about it, this experience is something special, and that experience happens. It is bound to happen at one point of time for all of us, in whichever stage of evolution we may be. It is going to happen. That is the final state of experience. Brahma akritya nivasati. That person gets absorbed in that Brahma, and he continues to live in that form as Brahman. Sukham. He is very, very happy. From such a person, you cannot get any work done, because that mind is a completely absorbed mind. It is like a powerful dynamo. You cannot go to a turbine engine, or you cannot go to a idle power generator and plug your mobile phone for charging, because it is a very high energy and its uses are very, very different in this universe. In many, many ways, the powers of these Mahatmas are being used. Mostly its use is in making others realize that state very soon as gurus, teachers, and masters. So, this example is a very simple example. You cannot charge your mobile phone or your shaving razor, the electric shaving razor, on a in a big idle power project, power supply cord. So that is the state of that Brahma Akriti. Brahma Akriti means this one individual person, this little person, has become the all. And so he doesn't need to do any actions. He is not in a position to do little actions. And his mind is free of thoughts. For doing actions, we need thoughts. We need, first, we need desires to want to do actions. Then, if that action has to happen, we need to plan, we need to think about it, we need thoughts. So, if there are no thoughts, no action is possible. And then, how does such a person continue to exist in this world? Shantaha. He is very calm in his mind. He is completely absorbed, like somebody who is drugged or somebody who is high on dopamine. He is completely absorbed in some state of happiness within. In the same way, this person is completely absorbed in that state of calmness, in the depth of calmness of mind. Dantaha. His senses are completely under control. None of the senses are working without his command. What to see, what to hear, what to taste, what to smell, what to touch, what to hold, where to walk, how much to speak, what to speak, everything is under the control of such a master. Param uparataha, supreme withdrawal. Supreme withdrawal means completely all activities. It can be even the activity of taking care of the body. Such a Mahatma, when they go into the state of complete absorption, the Yoga Vasishta says they can exist in this body only for 21 days. After that, after which the body will drop by itself. Param uparataha. But here it is not talking about such a kind of extreme absorption. This is talking of masters in this world who are available for guiding others and teaching others about how to reach the state. Kshanti yuktaha. This person is bestowed with kshanti. Kshanti means titiksha, forbearance, putting up with all the small, small troubles that they may face in life. Yuktaha samadhim kurvanna nitya. Such a person is daily absorbed in that state of meditation. Kalayati yatihi. The seeker is contemplating on swasya sarvatma bhavam. At all times, the seeker's contemplation is on how that self is present everywhere and in everything. This is the state of that realized master. Tena avidya timira janitan sadhu dagdva vikalpan. Because of this state of samadhi, complete absorption of mind, avidya janitan sadhu dagdva. All the vikalpas means the thought forms, the confusions, the doubts, the disbeliefs, everything is burnt in this fire of absorption. Vikalpan dagdva. How do these thoughts come? These thoughts come because of ignorance. Ignorance of who I am is the first knowledge that we don't have. We don't have the knowledge of who I am. We are ignorant of who I am. We are ignorant of the rope, and we see the snake and we are afraid of the snake. We can remember these three things. First is ignorance of the rope, then projection of the snake, and then projection of the fear of the snake. These three things are. So ignorance of the self, projection of the world, and projection of fear of going away from this world or dying. Tena avidya attimira janitan sadhu dagdva vikalpana. When all the thoughts are all burnt up, this person is seated in that Brahma akriti, that form of Brahman. The formless form means it is like absorbed in that truth, absorbed in that reality, absorbed in that state of power of Brahman completely, never to come out again and work in this, never to express oneself in little ways in this work-a-day world. 357th verse. Samahitayen pravilapya bahyam shrotradi chetah swamaham chidatmani tayeva muktam bhavapasha bandhaihi nanye tu paroksha kathabhidayinam. Samahitaye pravilapya bahyam. One person, the seeker who has quieted the mind completely and absorbed the mind, all the subjects, the objects of the world, the sense organs that perceive the objects, and the mind, the things, thoughts about those objects, everything is brought into the ego or the I, and the I is also absorbed in the self. So it's a complete inward turning into a power center within. Shrotradi chetaha swam aham chidatmani. All the sense organs and that awareness about the objects, swam aham chidatmani pravilapya, completely absorbed in that. Chit means in that consciousness. Atman means I. Chit Atman means I am aware of I. In that awareness, everything has been brought in. Ta eva mukta. Such a person is only a free person. He is free from what? Bhava pasha bandhaihi. He is free from the rope that ties us to existence in this world. Bandha means tying. Pasha means rope. Bhava means living, living in this world, being obliged to other people in this world, being obliged to situations, to surroundings, to family, to country, to the world, to the five elements of nature, to the gods, to the ancestors, to the other human beings. All that is gone. There is no obligation for this person because he has transcended all the obligations. Bhavapasha bandhaihi na anyetu. There is no other way. There is no other way to be free from this binding attachment to the world other than absorbing the mind in that state of deep meditation. Here, Gurudev, Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji is taking the whole thread of the conversation to meditation, and at one point he says, meditate, meditate, meditate. It is the highest occasion of life. So we'll come to that verse when it comes. It just comes in this group of verses. Na anyetu. There are no other means to achieve this freedom from the world other than absorbing the mind completely. Parokshya katha abhidayinaha. It is not by blabbering or just chattering about this knowledge, about this Brahma Vidya, about going on all platforms and speaking about this. It is not by those means, but it is only by means of absorption of the mind that this state can be achieved. So, the importance of being in meditation in the state of samadhi is being explained here. उपाधि भेदात् स्वयमेव भिद्यते चोपाध्यपोहे स्वयमेव केवलः तस्मादुपाधेर् विलयाय विद्या विद्वान् वसेत् सदा कल्प समाधिनिष्ठया अकल्प Vaset sada akalpa samadhi nishtaya. So upadhi bhedat swayameva vidyate. When all this, the conditionings of the body, mind and intellect, which is the cause for giving different thoughts for this human being, all the different thoughts, the differences appear because of these conditionings. Cha upadhi apoke swayameva kevalaha. The man feels different, the seeker feels different from the Brahman, from the truth, because of this upadhi beda, because of the upadhi or the body, mind and intellect that is covering the reality within. Because of that, the individual feels separate. Upadhi apohe swayameva kevalaha. When the upadhis are gone, which means the body is not there, the mind is not there, the intellect is not there, not meaning the death of the body, but when we realize in deep sleep also, we don't experience the body. The body is not there in deep sleep, means we don't experience it. So in the waking state also, when we cease to experience a body, when we cease to experience a mind, and when we cease to experience the intellect, that individual experiences that Atman alone, Kevalaha, Tasmad Upadhehi Vilayaya Vidwan. So therefore, the one who is learned in this Brahma Vidya, the Vidwan, knowledgeable in this area, what should he work towards? Upadhehe Vilayaya. He must merge the upadhis. Merge the upadhis means I am not this body is not mine. I am not the mind, this mind is not mine. I am not the intellect is not mine. So in this way, he removes the thought of the body, mind and intellect and focuses on that self, which I am, the true self I am. So focusing on the truth and withdrawing from the temporary phenomenon of body, mind and intellect. Vidwan, Vaset sada, such a person, what happens to him? Sada vaset. He is always living. Where does he live? Akalpa samadhi nishtaya. He is always existing in samadhi nishta, in that absorbed state of mind. It doesn't mean that that person will be simply sitting in one corner in a mountain or in a cave or on the banks of a river and completely not be available to the world. He may be in jeans, he may be in t-shirt, or he may be in a kurta, or she may be in a sari or a salwar kameez. It doesn't matter what clothes they wear, but the mind may be completely absorbed in that self. Samadhi, nishtaya. They may be engaging in the world, but the mind is completely turned inward. Sati sakto naro yati sadbhavam hyeka nishtaya kitako brahmaram dhyayan brahmaratvaya kalpate sati saktaha naraha yati. One who is attached to the truth, one who is focused on that reality, becomes that reality through single pointed devotion in the mind. Saktaha means attached. Naraha yati sadbhavam hi eka nishtaya. One pointed concentration, one pointed awareness on that truth, on that reality. That person attains that reality. How? Kitako brahmaram dhyayana. That the small worm is there inside that hive. It has been put there by that wasp. The wasp builds that the mud, what is it called, hive for the wasp, for the what is that called, pupa stage. It is a worm which becomes a pupa, and the wasp is there all the time. It is watching, it is watching, it is triggering this worm, it is triggering this worm to grow little by little. By its sting, it is triggering. And this worm is going on looking at the wasp all the time. And slowly, the pupa's shell breaks, the wings come out, and this worm, what was a worm inside, becomes a wasp, and it flies out of that hive. Though it was a small worm before, it has developed its wings and it flies. In the same way, this jiva, this individual, was like a small worm and going on contemplating on that divine, the supreme, develops its wings of freedom and flies into the wide skies of the Brahman to the point of no return. Kriyantarasaktim upasya kitako dhyayan yathalim hyalibhavamricchati tathaiva yogi paramatma tattvam dhyatva samayati tadeka nishtayam. Kriya antara asaktim apasya kitakaha. That insect, the worm inside, it gives up all other activities. Once it is in that pupa stage, the only activity is just being there. It is just staying there, and it is thinking all the time. It is contemplating on the wasp itself, because the wasp is the only object that it can see. So the Brahman is the only object that I can see. I keep contemplating on that Brahman alone. Tathaiva yogi paramatma tattvam. In the same way, the yogi keeps contemplating on that supreme truth. Dhyatva samayati tat ekanishtaya. So he becomes that truth. He or she becomes that true with ekanishta, with one pointed concentration. Dhyatva samayati, samyak ayati. Completely, he turns into that form of Brahman. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The one who knows the Brahman becomes the Brahman. Why we say Brahmavit? Even knowing the Brahman, once we know that Brahman, the mind will never stop until it knows the truth. Brahma Vidya is a very interesting thing. If we don't enter into it at all, if we don't enter into that direction at all, we will be free to live any which way we want in this world. But once we step into this knowledge of Brahma Vidya, the nature of that Brahma Vidya is it keeps attracting the mind because it is such a beautiful state of being, it is such a blissful state of being that the mind will be constantly attracted to it, and whatever the mind may escape into the world outside, it will never anymore have that joy and keep turning back to it, like tasting something very delicious and wanting to return to that all the time. Dhyatva samayati tat ekanishya. With one pointed concentration, the person attains that state of Brahman. So we will look into the remaining verses in the Samadhi part tomorrow. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Boliye Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj ki Jai. Har Namah Parvati Pataye. Har Har Mahadeva. Hari Om.